Hello, coin collectors, and welcome to DC Coin World International Coin Channel, and it's Canada Day. And I think we're going to have a few Canada Days over the next few weeks. Maybe one day a week we're going to do Canadian coins, and that's because I cannot cross the border to go to Canada to get any new coins because the United States border with Canada is closed for everybody except for essential travelers, and I'm a non-essential traveler if I want to go to a Canada coin shop. And I like to go to the coin shops rather than doing stuff online, but at this point in time, I'm not going to be doing that. So what do we got here? Well, we have the Manitoba dollar, the Centennial dollar here, the Canada 50 cents here. We have the Canada 25, the Canada 10, the Canada 5, and the Canada 1 cent coin. One of the things you'll notice on all of them is, except for the dollar, is that they say cent or cents on them. So when in Canada, when there's more than 1 cent, there's an S on the end. It's not a 50-cent coin, it's a 50 cents coin. A 5 cents, 10 cents, 25 cents, and 1 cent. And then of course the dollar is not a cent coin at all. It's a 100 cents, but it's called a Canada dollar. So let's take a look at these and let's go from, why not go from largest to smallest? The first one here is, this is part of a series that Canada did to kind of show off all of its provinces. And this one here, of course, is Manitoba. And Canada, a province, is akin to a state in the United States. If I can keep my camera from falling over, I'll show you this. And so when we look at this one, we see that it says Manitoba on the top, which is the Canadian province, 1870 to 1970. So we're talking about the 100th year or the centennial circulating coin here. And this came in a regular set of coins. In 1970, they made 4.1 million of these Canada dollars. But this one came in a set. So this wasn't a regular circulating coin. This was a brilliant uncirculated coin, and they made about 350,000 of these, 349,120 to be exact. We see if we get to the edge here, we have a toothed outer rim, and this is not one with separate dots on it. It's the geared kind where it actually attaches, and you can see that here as it attaches around the outer edge. There's no space like there are between coins with the pearl or dots. This is actually attached to the outer edge. If we tip it up, we see that we have a reeded rim. And then if we flip it over, of course, we see that it's Queen Elizabeth II. And this is the Arnold Machin portrait wearing the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara. And on this side, we see it's not geared, right? These are actually the pearls or dots that go around the outside. You can see, you can look at this coin. Look at that. So this is really stunning how nice this coin is. Now it's not a proof coin. It's a brilliant uncirculated. So we don't have different buffing on the image and the background. But this is about as good a quality brilliant uncirculated coin as you're ever going to see. It's just really sweet. Now, what is on the back? Well, it's a flower, and it comes from Manitoba. There's other places that it grows, but it's called a prairie crocus. And those of you who know Canada know that Manitoba is in the west, and it has all kinds of wheat and crops. And those of you who know engraving know that this, of course, is a Raymond Taylor engraving, and we can tell that by looking right here. The RT in the midst of the prairie crocus for Raymond Taylor, who engraved this coin. All right, so that's the dollar. What's next? Well, how about the half dollar? In the United States, we call it the Kennedy half. And in Canada, they call it the 50 cents coin. And we see that it says Canada on the left. There's a 19 separated by a crown and a 70. And of course, Canada was a dominion of Britain or the United Kingdom. But it also was once part of France. So when we magnify this, we see underneath the crown a lion holding a maple leaf, which is kind of cool. And then we see the flag of Great Britain, the Union Jack, and we see the fleur-de-lis of Canada. If we look down here, we see the shield of Great Britain accompanying some images from the shield of Canada. So we see the maple leafs, the fleur-de-lis, the harp from Northern Ireland, the standing lion, lion rampant from Scotland, and then the lying down lions, or the lion passant, signifying England on the crown. We have a unicorn and a standing lion. It says Mari, ad Mary, from sea to sea. And then way down in there, we can see Thomas Shingle's initials. There's the T right there, right above it. See right under there. And there's the S. Now this one doesn't have a very pronounced S. It's not enough to make it extremely valuable, but you can certainly see that that S does not stick out, and maybe as quite as much as it should. And there are some Canadian coins where you need to look at this banner going across because sometimes they miss a letter, but this isn't one of those years. And then, of course, down at the bottom, we just have the kind of the wreath here. So this is a 50-cent coin. I should say that they made, in terms of these coins, and that is, when you talk about brilliant uncirculated, that's brilliant, huh? When they made the 50-cent coins, again, they made the same number of this set, the 350,000, but for the 50 cent in general circulation, they made 2.5 million, and it's worth, this one here is in brilliant uncirculated is worth $3 or more US, and in regular circulation, an uncirculated one would be worth about $1.50 US. What's next? Well, this one, oh my goodness, that is just amazing. Look at that. That is it. You know, I hadn't had it lit like this, but that's really, really great quality. Some people, international people, confuse this sometimes and think that maybe what we're looking at here is a moose, because they think of the Great North and moose in Canada. But this is not a moose. This is, in fact, a caribou, which is very representative of northern Canada. And it's on the 25-cent coin. And this one, of course, from 1968 to 1978, this particular image in front was used. It's a nickel coin. We don't have any silver in this set. And the engraver is Manuel Otto Hahn. And this caribou here, if we look closely, we see that there is a marking there for the Canadian Mint, and then there's an H here from Manuel Otto Hahn, the H for Hahn. And if we look again, we see these are geared edges, a reeded rim. Sometimes people don't call it a reeded rim. Sometimes they have different names for this particular edging. And then, of course, we get to the front. And we see that this on the front, though, is not of the quality that the back was. So I'm going to take the grading down quite a bit, but the back was certainly magnificent. And so this is the Canadian quarter, and it weighs 5 grams, and they made 10 million of these, so it's not rare in any way, but the BU set, they only made 350,000, so you can get them. Here's the dime, as we call it in the United States, or the 10 cents coin, as they call it in Canada. It's worth 1/10 of a dollar, Canadian dollar. It says Canada at the top. This is the sloop Blue Nose, I believe, and we can see the sails. And of course, Canada, with the oceans on each side and the Arctic to the north, is surrounded by oceans on all sides except for where it touches against the United States. And I guess some people argue that it touches against Russia too, way on top in the Arctic. What do we got here? And actually a couple other countries when you get way up to the Arctic. Well, we see another H there, so we already know what that H meant on the quarter, right? And that was Emmanuel Otto Hahn's H. And so that's the same thing on this coin. The 1970 here, the Canada across the top, the geared edge, the milled or reeded rim, and then the Stuart Machen engraving here on the front of this coin, wearing the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara. And then another really Canadian coin here. And if it's Canada and it's a spectacular animal, um, you often think of George Kruger Gray, who also did, there's the KG there for Kruger Gray, who also did the maple leafs on the Canadian penny. So we'll get to that next. But right now we have 5 cents, maple leaf on each side. This is a beaver, and you can see the beaver has chopped down this tree and is making a dam with it, it looks like. It says Canada 1970. Again, we this is not dotted. Again, it's a geared edge, a smooth edge on this one because it's a nickel or 5 cents coin, and it is made out of nickel. And there, boy, that's a nice one. And there's another one. So 3 of the ones in this set are just really fine quality, certainly on the obverse of them. And little tiny scratches, but I think I'd still take this one in a second. And finally, we do have the maple leaf. And we do see that it is George Kruger Gray, the KG over here. Now, since 2012, Canada has not produced 1-cent coins. You can still use them, and once in a while you see them, but they do rounding up or rounding down in Canada. It says 1 cent, no S, 1970, Canada here, and there's a KG for Kruger Gray. And again, if we look on the edge of this one, we see that these are actually, these look like beads, don't they? And they are, and they're touching the rim, not gears. A smooth edge. Now this is a, you can, I don't know if you can sense that this is quite a different color from the other ones. So there's this one. Sometimes with the light, we actually get, you can, yeah, there you go. So see how this one, this is nickel and it has a silverish color. This is a copper color, and that's because it is in fact bronze. And what bronze is in these particular coins, the bronze in these coins is 98% copper, 0.5% tin, and 1.5% zinc. Some of the things that people have said to us about these coins is there was a time when they changed them and made some of them magnetic. This is not one of those times. And in 1978, they actually made the coins thinner. So this coin is 1.65 millimeters in thickness. In 1978, they went to 1.52, so they lost 0.13 millimeters in thickness. So the coin actually weighs less in 1978 in 1979, but this is not one of those coins. This is the 70. All right, 1 cent, 5 cents, 10 cents, 25 cents, 50 cents, and $1. There's our Canadian coin set from 1970. Have a great day from DC Coin World International Coin Channel.